Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be another movie review for you guys, because I promised my next review would be a movie review. And I don't know why I watched this. I've had it for a while. Just like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I meant to watch it, I kept putting it off. And I had time last night, and I finished it today. And I'm actually glad I watched this movie, because I really wanted to see it. And, that movie I'm going to be reviewing is Muppets Most Wanted. Now, I know what you guys are saying. Why did you just watch a kid's movie? Why are you reviewing this movie? I have a soft spot for the Muppets, okay? The Muppets are something that I feel don't have an age limit. They are things that are timeless characters. They are characters that really anyone can watch and enjoy. And I think that really, think about it. The Muppets were made in, 1970s, and they're still around today. That's how popular they are. But the thing about the Muppets that really resonates with me personally is the fact that I really enjoyed the last Muppet movie, the last Muppet movie, The Muppets from 2011. And I was definitely looking forward to this one because of that. The trailers looked like this would be a very fun movie. It definitely looked like it was going to be different from The Muppets, but it looked like it was still going to be a fun movie. And after watching Muppets Most Wanted, what I think this movie is another really great Muppets movie. However, it is not as fun as the 2011 movie. It's not as, it's a little bit darker. It has more of a crime drama element, crime caper element to it. It's a little bit different. It's more like the Great Muppet Caper if it had a lot of humans. That's what this movie basically is. So, I'll talk about my problems with this movie, but let's first talk about the plot of Muppets Most Wanted. The plot of Muppets Most Wanted is basically about this guy, Dominic Badgie, signs the Muppets to basically go on a world tour. He wants them to basically go on a world tour across Europe, basically. Yeah, basically across Europe, pretty much. From Siberian. And basically they schedule this European tour, and we find out that this guy is actually working with the world's most criminal, the world's most wanted criminal, Constantine, who is a very dangerous criminal. He's a criminal mastermind. And basically, when they start going on this tour, things aren't going right. They don't think it's going right. Suddenly, they're getting all this, fan acclaim and everything. And, Kermit's kind of frustrated with the way it's going and everything. He's kind of frustrated by the way everything's going and sort of how the troops are reacting to it. He's not exactly happy about it. While Miss Piggy's kind of pressuring him to get married and everything. She really wants to marry him at this point. Constantine ends up, Kermit walks outside basically to just, kind of clear his head. He ends up getting ambushed by Constantine. Constantine switches his mole, gives Kermit a fake mole, and Kermit is basically taken to prison because they think he's Constantine. He's taken to prison, while Constantine goes with the Muppets, to basically ruin everything and basically take over the world, and that's kind of what this movie's about. So, as you can tell, there's a lot going on in this movie, and that's pretty much what Muppets Most Wanted is all about. So, while that's the plot of the movie, my problem with this movie, and I'll get to it, let's first talk about the acting. Acting overall is pretty good. I thought all the acting was very, very good. Ricky Gervais, I thought, did a good job. I really like him being, kind of like Constantine kind of makes him always a sidekick, and he's really funny at doing that. I thought he did a very good job of that. Anytime, he has this really great song in the beginning of the movie with Constantine called I'm Number One, You're Number Two. It's really, really funny to watch. I thought he did a good job. Probably the least in the, he probably did my least favorite performance in the movie of the humans. I thought he was my least favorite, but I still thought he did a good job for the most part. Ty Burrell steals the show in this movie. Steals the show. Absolutely hilarious. He's paired with Sam the Eagle to basically find out what is going on here, because they know that something weird is going on with Kermit. He's not acting the same. And basically, I thought he did a very good job when he's paired with Sam the Eagle. They have this great, interrogation number together. Hilarious to watch. I thought Ty Burrell did a great job. And the thing I loved about Ty Burrell is that I didn't even recognize him. If you wouldn't have told me this Ty Burrell, I wouldn't have thought it. I mean, he looks like how, Ty Burrell, but the character himself he did the accent very well. He was pretty much unrecognizable as Cyber. I thought he was great. Tina Fey plays Nadia, and I love her character. She is basically the prison guard when Kermit's taken to the Gulag, which is the jail in Siberia, in Russia, basically. And we find out, basically, that she is completely obsessed with Kermit. I thought she was a very fun character to watch. My only complaint is that we actually did not see a lot of her character. We see her throughout the movie, but not as much as I would have wanted to. And that leads me to my complaint with this movie, which is that there is too much human interaction in this movie. There's too much Dominic and Constantine talk. There's too much Dominic talking with other humans. There's too many cameos in this movie. Not enough Muppets, specifically from Kermit, who I feel is not in this movie as much as he should be. I mean, the thing is, that is the subplot for most of the movie, is Kermit in this jail, and we don't really get to see a lot of it. We see a few scenes, but most of the movie focuses on Constantine and the Muppets, and eventually when Kermit gets back, then we see more of him. But I feel we don't see enough of Kermit in this movie, and it's a problem for me, definitely. And that goes due in part to the directing. I thought James Bobbin did a very good job of the directing. I thought he knew what he wanted to do, but my problem is that he doesn't have Jason Segel for this one, so that's why this movie does not have as much heart as the Muppets did, as the 2011 Muppets did. That one definitely had a lot more heart, and there was a lot more to it, and one of the things I did really like this movie, talked about, was the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the movie has this great number called "We're Doing a Sequel." It's a great way to start the movie. I thought it was very, very funny. But this really goes along with what that is trying to say. The sequel is never quite as good. No, this is not as good as the Muppets. I did not think it was as good, in my opinion. And there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, the 2011 Muppets was more about getting the Muppets together and putting on a show. This one's more about a criminal mastermind and everything. And the subplot of this movie, sort of like the Muppet subplot, has to do with Kermit and Miss Piggy's wedding. I thought we talked about that, like, way too much in this movie. Like, I get it. We want these two to get married. I understand that. But my problem with this movie actually is a spoiler that I'll talk about. I know there's a spoiler in a Muppet movie, whatever. But the songs, awesome. I loved all the songs in the movie. I thought the songs were very, very good. I really had no issues with the musical performances at all. I thought they were just as funny as the first one. There are some pretty crazy, hilarious ones. The best one is by far, We're Doing a Sequel. That's by far the best one. Just the way that's portrayed, the way that's done is so funny to watch, and the way they did that was so funny. There's a great number with Constantine and Dominic. My least favorites of the performances would probably have to be the Miss Piggy Celine Dion number. I just thought that was kind of silly. I understand the point of it, but I just thought it was kind of a silly number. I wasn't really a huge fan of it. But the guy that played Constantine did a great job. I thought he was definitely very, very funny in the movie. I really enjoyed his acting. I thought he definitely did a good job. I don't know who played him. Matt Vogel, he definitely did a good job. All the puppeteers did a very good job portraying these performances. There are some cameos in the movie, tons of cameos actually. Tony Bennett comes by, Celine Dion, Lady Gaga comes by randomly. Josh Groban has a hilarious role in this. I thought his role was definitely very funny. He's a security prisoner. He is actually very, very funny. I thought his character was definitely really good, and I really enjoyed his character. I thought he was definitely very funny. This movie has some very, very funny jokes, though. Like, this movie had some jokes that had me laughing hysterically. If you want to talk about, like, jokes, the movie does something very well. The funniest joke, I will not talk about it, we'll get to in the spoilers, because it's actually probably one of the funniest things in the movie. But I did like seeing Kermit train the Gulag prisoners to put on a show. I thought that was really funny. That they did that. I thought that was something that I definitely really enjoyed, was seeing him train these Gulag prisoners, because basically they have like a whole show and everything, and Kermit ends up running the show for them, and that's when we find out that Nadia's Kermit obsessed, basically. I thought that was very funny. It was cool to see the intros with the Muppet Show intros again. I thought that was cool to see. But sometimes that felt a little bit out of place in this movie, I gotta say. Some of that stuff felt a little bit out of place, and that was a problem for me. The editing was fine. The movie went by like that. I really had no problems with the editing. Cinematography was great. It's the Muppets. What do you expect? It's the Muppets. But let's get to the spoilers in this movie, which is what I mainly want to talk about. And let's just get into sort of like, I don't really want to say problems, because I had a few problems with this movie, but they're very, very minimal. And if I had to rate the movie, I'd rate it a 4 out of 5, or a, you know, like a B plus, or an A minus, probably. I mean, I really enjoy it. It's not one of the best films of the year. Like, The Muppets 2011 was one of the best films of 2011. This is not one of the best films of 2014, though. But let's talk about Muppets Most Wanted. Oh, the other thing with this movie is you see Gonzo right here. We barely see Gonzo in this movie. We barely see, you know, these are basically, we see Walter, Fozzie, Miss Piggy, and Animal the most out of any of the Muppets in this movie. And that's a problem for me, because the last Muppets movie showed enough of the Muppets. They each had their own thing to do, and this one had too much human interaction, in my opinion. But let's get to the spoilers. First of all, I want to talk about probably the funniest scene in the movie, in my opinion. I thought this was probably the funniest scene in the entire movie, which is when Constantine, of course, kidnaps Fozzie and Walter, and basically what ends up happening is we see Rizzo, who we have not seen Rizzo the Rat, I believe, like, since, like, the Muppets Oz, that train wreck Muppets of Oz movie, which I hate. I don't like it at all. But we see Rizzo, and he goes to the camera, and he says, well, Walter was pushed so hard in the first movie, maybe even more than us. And he's like, come on, Robin. When we saw Robin, I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious, because we have not seen Robin for years. They completely forgot about Kermit's nephew. And the fact that we actually saw him again, I thought was hilarious. And the fact that they had them do that for just one little scene was so funny. And I love that. I thought that was probably the funniest joke in this movie. And I definitely really enjoyed that. My other problem with this movie, and it's a very small story problem, they pushed Kermit and Miss Piggy's marriage so far that I actually thought these two were gonna get married. Now, of course, Constantine proposes to Piggy and makes it seem like they're gonna get married, but they don't get married. Because, you know, of course, Kermit thwarts his plan and everything, and Constantine's defeated. But I honestly thought we were gonna see the two of them get married because they were pushing it so hard, and then they don't get married. That was kind of a problem for me, because I think that they should have, because a lot of people have had that question for years and things like that. I understand that they want to keep it where they don't get married, but to have that be basically the subplot of your movie really makes me wish that they would have just gotten these two married, because it would have made more sense, it would have worked better, and I would have been fine with that. My other complaint with this movie is that this movie definitely did not make as much money as it should have. It was not as popular as the last one was. And I don't think they should make another Muppet movie for a little while. I think that after this one, it's enough. I would like to see definitely another one of these at some point, but not for a little while. And that's really my problem with this movie, is I feel like, it was a very good movie, but I think they should take a little break from making the Muppet movies, because I do feel this one was a little bit rushed at points. There were some things that felt very rushed. The ending felt very rushed, in my opinion. I understand they wanted to end it with a song, but the way they ended it, I just thought was kind of rushed. I wasn't exactly a fan of it. I understand it's a kid's movie, you want to keep them into it, but that's the other thing. This movie might actually scare kids because of the bombs and things like that, and I think it might actually scare kids because of that. But overall, The Muppets Most Wanted is a fun time. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun enough to hold my interest. There are some very fun moments. It's not as fun as some of the other Muppet movies. It's not as fun as the classics. It's not as good as the 2011 Muppets. But it is a good movie. I still really enjoyed it, and I thought it was good enough to hold my interest, and I think you guys should check it out. I would recommend it, but don't expect it to be as good as the 2011 film. But that's basically my review, Muppets Most Wanted. Let me know what you guys think of this movie. And the next movie, I can't wait to review, because the next movie I'm going to review leaked online. You guys probably know what it is, because you saw me tweet about it on Twitter. It leaked online, and I didn't think I'd have to watch this, but I'm going to watch it because I want to review it too. I want to see how bad it is. The next year is probably going to be one of my biggest rants ever. And I'll see you guys for that. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, but I'll see you guys for it. You guys probably know what it is, but I'm not even going to tell you guys what it is. But I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.